Hello and welcome into your Matsu Miners broadcast here. Dan Collins alongside broadcast partner Jordan Swick at Herman Brothers Fields, where tonight the visiting Anchorage Pilots will be taking on your home team, the Matsu Miners. And while we have a little bit of time here before first pitch, we'll run through the lineups first for your visiting Anchorage Pilots. Leading off, it is the third baseman, Luke Ritter. Batting second, it's the second baseman, Jack Gertzenmeyer. Batting third and playing first base, Jack Lebowski. The cleanup hitter, Joe Gillette. He's going to be manning center field tonight. After him, it'll be Jeremiah Burks, the left fielder. Kyle Watson, the shortstop. Isaac Feldstein, the right fielder. And then there will be the designated hitter, R.J. Cordero. And rounding out the lineup is going to be the catcher for the Pilots, Tyrus Green. The Miners defensively, the way they line up from left to right, Scooter Bynum is manning left field, Madison Nickens in center, and Garrison Schwartz gets the start tonight in right. In the infield around the horn from first to third, it is Jake Scudder at first, Levi Jordan at second, Josh Bissonette at shortstop, and A.J. Lee over there at the hot corner. And the battery tonight for the Matsu Miners is going to be Carlos Vega and catcher Josh Roulette. So right now, PA announcer Josh Grissom, who's actually our media manager as well down here in Palmer, Alaska.
And a part-time broadcaster.
Apparently, he was on the broadcast last night. I bet that was quite the delight because I stepped out of the booth and he stepped in for a couple innings. Now manning the PA microphone. So he is just the jack of all trades, Josh Grissom is. Running through the lineups here for the Miners and the Pilots. It is Luke Ritter, the third baseman in the on-deck circle, taking a couple more practice swings before we start things off here and begin play. This is the first time of the season the Matsu Miners are taking on the Pilots. And once they conclude this game tonight, the Miners will have officially faced every team in the Alaska Baseball League. They opened up the season on the road in Kenai against the Peninsula Oilers, where they dropped 2 games to the Oilers. And then they went on down to Anchorage, picked up their first win of the season by a score of 7-1, and last night defeated the Chinooks by an identical score, 7-1. So back-to-back nights, the Miners come out with 7-1 victories, and that puts their record at 2-2 on the year, and in a second-place tie early on with these Anchorage Pilots. And because the Peninsula Oilers, who are 3-2 on the year, do not play tonight, the winner of this matchup is going to be tied for first place with the Peninsula Oilers. So first place technically on the line here at Herman Brothers Field. We'll see who could jump on up the leaderboard. That's Carlos Vega on the pump completing his warm-up tosses. And it looks like Luke Ritter is going to be stepping up to the plate here for the Pilots. Carlos Vega does have 1 appearance this season for the Miners. It is out of the pen. He pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 hit and a walk, struck a man out, and no other stat lines there, so he didn't give up any runs. Now getting his first start of the year for the Matsu Miners. And the pitch, taken inside, ball 1. So 1-0 the count here early on to the leadoff man, Luke Ritter of the Pilots. The pitch swung on and nibbled right in front of Roulette. He vacuums it up but cannot make the play to first. So a short chop infield single there for Luke Ritter to begin the game.
Now batting for the Pilots.
Yeah, Josh Roulette, the catcher. It was actually raining here before start time. It was pouring, and we had a little bit of hail as well. And Josh Roulette just slipped on the infield grass, and there's not much you can do there.
So that being second baseman Jack Gertzenmeyer up to the plate. And as you mentioned, Jordan, it was raining early on. The Miners were able to get in a little bit of BP as that one's popped up in the infield. First pitch. Scudder, the first baseman, is underneath it, makes the grab for out number 1. But as you're saying, the Miners during BP, actually, as they were taking it, we were watching on, and the lightning and thunder came in. So the Miners batting practice brought in the rain. And Josh Grissom actually was up here in the booth with us and said, he's the Alaska native. He says it doesn't really thunder out here in the last frontier. So interesting. The bats must be going well here for the Miners if they're going to cause rain to come during batting practice. And we were just discussing before game time, Jordan, that the Pilots actually had to take batting practice in the cages as the field wasn't in good enough shape for them to go on out there and take BP on the field. So to the cage they went for their batting practice pregame swings. As the count 1-0 here on Gertzenmeyer. Vega would have thrown over to first, but Ritter gets in there safely. And check that this is the big Lebowski, the first baseman, Jack Lebowski, at the plate. Wonder if he's a fan of the movie Big Lebowski. His foot was on the line. And the count is 1-1 here with one out. Jack Gertzenmeyer making the first out. Pop up to Jake Scudder over there at first. Luke Ritter led this thing off with an infield single right in front of Josh Roulette. Another throw over by Vega. But Ritter gets in there safely again. Jack Lebowski. Sounds like a good baseball name. So Vegas shortly with the 1-1 here. High 2-1. We did mention Vega had that one appearance out of the pen for the Miners this past season at Arizona Western, which is also where pitching coach Matt Greeley is the pitching coach. Pitching coach there for Vega. Vega made 15 appearances, going 2-1 with a 3.60 ERA. He fanned 32 batters in his 30 innings of work. Now he evens the count here at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Inside, and that's going to run the count full. This is only the second game that Lebowski is appearing in. He has 4 at-bats on the year, 2 strikeouts, no hits. Batting third tonight. As Ritter takes off for second, the throw from Roulette. Looks like it bounced off the bag or maybe off of second baseman Levi Jordan there into the shallow outfield, but center fielder Madison Nickens is there to bring it on in. So stolen base credited to Luke Ritter. And Lebowski goes down swinging on that at-bat, so that's going to bring up the cleanup hitter, Joe Gillette. Reminds me of the shaving cream I used to use.
Used to use?
Used to.
What do you-
Barbasol now is the shaving cream of choice.
Mm.
Gives me that good old nostalgic barbershop feel.
You just get tired of Gillette?
A little bit. Want to go more with the nostalgic look. Also, when I shave, I tend to go with the straight razor. Haven't sharpened it up in a while, so it's just been the typical disposables. As the 0-1 pitch coming here to center fielder, Joe Gillette. And that's chopped down over to short. Looks like it was going to go through the hole, but Bissonette lays out, keeps that ball from going into the outfield, and that's just going to be an infield single for Gillette. And that's going to put runners on the corners with 2 outs here.
You know, it was a good thing Josh Roulette was there just to stop the ball, because if he wasn't there, this could be a 1-0 game in favor of the Pilots.
Yeah, Bissonette moving over to his left, diving down, stopping that ball from going through to the hole and over to Nickens. You'd imagine Ritter would have been gunning for home, and not much of a play by Nickens, because if Nickens makes that play to home, Gillette easily will take second. So perhaps saving the first run of the game by Bissonette right there. It is a 1-0 count on the Jeremiah Burks, the left fielder, who's batting in the 5th hole today. Swung on and missed for the first strike. Runners on the corners, but there are 2 outs. So Vega can get out of it here. He'll send his team to the dugout and the bats to the hitter circle. Batter's box, I should say. Now the runner goes, and another stolen base of the inning there. That one by Joe Gillette. So that'll put runners on second and third. First base open. 2-1 the count with 2 outs. Here to the left fielder, Burks. Here in this Young Alaska Baseball League campaign, Burks does have 3 runs and 3 hits on the year, one of those being a double and 2 walks. If he gets on base, he is speedy. He already has 7 stolen bases on the year. Only caught stealing once. As the count is 3-1 on him.
Looks like Vega's trying to locate his, I think it's a slider that he's throwing. It's either a slider or a curveball, but a breaking ball nonetheless. He's having a little bit of issues so far, but he looks to be kind of close to the strike zone. He's just not getting the call.
Going to have to be a little tighter there.
Heads up.
Mentioning that ball,
Ooh.
staring us right in the eyes now, is just sitting there, right there in the net, directly in front of the broadcast booth.
Perhaps after the game, I should just go out on the...
If I had a long enough hand, I would be able to grab myself a souvenir. However, no souvenir for me, and we'll resume play. It is a full count with 2 outs here. Runners on second and third for the Pilots in the top of the first inning. And now Burks is going to call time. And it's given to him. Burks does have 6 strikeouts on the year. Vega will try to make it strikeout number 7 as before that, Roulette is now going to call time. Maybe a little too much time in between pitches there as Burks called time first. Now Roulette's going to want to have one more little chat with Vega.
It looked like Roulette and Vega were not on the same page there. So that instead of, throwing down signs and trying to guess what each other wants to, agree on a pitch, decide to go to the mound and figure that stuff out right away.
If that was the strategy there, I like it because rather be safe than sorry.
And with a 3-2 count, you don't have much room for error either.
There's a 3-2 pitch, fouled. Pilots have the blue batting helmets with a silver brim, camo jerseys, the green, and gray pants. Word has it that they might be wearing those camo jerseys for the remainder of the season.
And it makes our job a little bit more difficult because their camo jerseys are different than, or the numbers on their jerseys are different.
3-2 pitch swung on and lifted to left, but Scooter Bynum's there. Takes a couple steps back toward the wall now, a couple steps in, and he'll make the catch for out number 3. So that is going to bring us to the bottom of the first inning. Schwartz, Jordan, and Bissonette due up for the Miners here on your Mat-Su Miners radio network. Welcome back here to Herman Brothers Field, where we head to the bottom of the first inning. Pilots were able to get a couple runners on in the top of the first, but ended up stranding them right there as Carlos Vega got out of the inning. And while we have just a quick, brief moment, we'll run through the lineup really quickly for you for your home team, Mat-Su Miners. Leading it off, it is the right fielder tonight, Garrison Schwartz. Batting second, the second baseman, Levi Jordan. In the third spot today, it is the shortstop, Josh Bissonette. Josh Roulette, the freshman All-American catcher, is batting cleanup for the Miners. Fifth is Jake Scudder, the slugging first baseman. Sixth, Madison Nickens. He's manning center field for the Miners tonight. Batting seventh is Jonah Garrison, an infielder, but designated hitting tonight. And then it's going to round out the lineup with A.J. Lee, the third baseman, and Scooter Bynum, the left fielder. And Schwartz now stepping up into the batter's box for the Miners. The defense for the Pilots from left to right, it is Jeremiah Burks, Joe Gillette, and Isaac Feldstein. From left to first, it's Luke Ritter, Kyle Watson, Jack Gertzenmeyer, and Jack Lebowski. The battery of Hunter Davis and Tyrus Green. First pitch chopped on and fouled by Schwartz. So a Jack Lebowski at first and a Jack Gertzenmeyer at second. Couple Jacks in the infield. 0-1 the count here on Schwartz. Outside, 1-1.
You know, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday's weather compared to this. I mean, at first we weren't sure what to expect with the rain coming down, but the sun's out in full force today, unlike yesterday.
That ball chopped over to second. Scooped up over to first, and Schwartz is going to make the first out of the inning here. Going to bring up second baseman Levi Jordan.
Now stepping to the plate for the Miners, the second baseman, number 1, Levi Jordan.
Yeah, Levi Jordan was one of the players who got a little bit of a taste here in the Alaska Baseball League in yesterday's game. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI as well. So it looked like he didn't really skip a beat from, his college team coming back here. So that's definitely a good thing to sign, as this offense is starting to click it a little bit.
Yep, just the second start here for Levi Jordan. He arrived when the team was in Anchorage on Saturday facing the Bucks. So he's getting his second bit of action as he chops it over to third and off the glove of the third baseman Ritter and into the outfield. And Levi Jordan is going to reach first base, bringing up Josh Bissonette, the shortstop.
Yeah, it would have been a very tough play for their first baseman. Went off the glove. It would have been a tough play nonetheless, but that will go as a hit. They're the Miners' first base hit of the day.
So that brings up Josh Bissonette, who is batting in the third spot tonight for the Miners.
That's right. The first time all season, he's been pretty much a number 2 hitter for this team.
As a first pitch to him way outside for ball 1. Bissonette, his career at Baylor, played 52 games, 3 doubles, 3 home runs, and 22 RBIs. He has 1 home run already here this season for the Miners. Typically more of a top-of-the-order guy, but still good to see him possess a little bit of pop when he has it. Roulette, the catcher in the on-deck circle. 1-1 the count here at Bissonette. Will Levi Jordan, the second baseman at first, who just singled right past the third baseman Ritter.
Ooh. Big strikes on here today.
At least this inning. It was a little tighter last inning on Vega, as you mentioned, having a little bit of trouble locating that breaking ball. He had to be just about perfect with it seemed. That one seeming pretty low, but a strike nonetheless, and it's a 1-2 count here on Bissonette, who pops it up right to Tyrus Green. He calls everybody off, makes the grab, and that's out number 2 for the Miners.
Now up to bat, the catcher, number 25, Josh Roulette.
So here's Josh Roulette, starting catcher for the Mat-Su Miners. Jake Scudder, the first baseman on deck. You would like to see him up. Hit a 3-run blast last night. That's the second home run hit this season by the Miners. As we mentioned just during Bissonette's at-bat, he also has a round tripper this year. So 2 home runs hit by the Mat-Su Miners. As Levi Jordan is going to take off for second, the throw down there, he just does beat it. Tie goes to the runner, says the umpire. Bang, bang play, but Levi Jordan was in there. So you can credit him with a stolen base. And kudos to him for putting himself in scoring position for Josh Roulette. He is batting cleanup tonight, and you like to see your cleanup hitters knocking as many RBIs as possible. Here is an RBI moment for him. High and outside, 2-0. That ball chopped on foul for Roulette. So 2-1 the count now with 2 outs. And the way the Miners offense has been going, at least for the past 2 games, wouldn't shock me if they get a little rally going here. Levi Jordan is in scoring position there at second. He just stole. Swung on and lifted foul again, so the battle continues between Roulette and Davis. Davis has 1 appearance this year, was in relief. 2 innings pitched, 2 hits against him. Is that swung on, strike 3, and that is going to end the inning here for the Miners. They strand 1 base runner. Due up for the Pilots, it's Watson, Feldstein, and Cordero in the top of the second inning here on your Mat-Su Miners radio network. Back here at Herman Brothers Field, we're in the top of the second inning. Kyle Watson, the shortstop, leading it off here for the Pilots, who stranded 2 base runners this past inning. Watson in 3 games so far early on in the season does have 2 hits and scored 2 runs. One of those hits being a triple. Does have an RBI and 2 walks on the year. As first pitch taken for a ball. A.J. Lee on the cut of the grass there at third. The rest of the infield at normal depth. No big gaps out there in the outfield. And Vega falling behind here early on to Watson. Count 2-0. Swung on and missed for the first strike. That's what we like to see here from our Miners pitchers. The more strikes, the merrier. Ball taken, 3-1. And interesting to note, we were looking at the Pilots roster earlier. 3 of their 4 outfielders have not reported for duty yet. So technically 1 outfielder on staff for the Pilots, as that last pitch runs the count full, 3-2 to shortstop Kyle Watson.
They did have a couple utility guys on the roster, so that's probably where they're inserted.
Ball 4, and Vega's going to go ahead and walk the leadoff hitter here, Watson.
Now at the plate for the Pilots, the right fielder, number 23, Isaac Feldstein.
That's going to bring up Isaac Feldstein, the right fielder. And we just mentioned only 1 of the 4 outfielders on the Pilots roster here, and that will be the man at the plate right now, Isaac Feldstein. The only true outfielder, at least that's how the Pilots roster has it. As there goes the runner, the throw down to second. Took a little bit of time, but I'm just going to call him safe.
The
So-
third stolen base of the day for the Glacier pilots here, and we're only in the second inning.
So credit Watson there with the stolen base. And he's in early position early on for the right fielder, Feldstein. Designated hitter R.J. Cordero on deck. Catcher Tyrus Green in the hole here for the Pilots. Winner of this game puts themselves at a tie in first place with the Peninsula Oilers.
So with the win here today for the Miners, it would have beaten every team except the Oilers, who have beaten us twice this year.
That's right, that opening road trip, a 2-game series against the Oilers with the Miners dropping both, but afterwards, defeating the Bucks, the Chinooks, and hopefully tonight the Pilots. Swung on and missed strike 3 there by Feldstein. It's going to be the first out of the inning here
Now at the plate for the Pilots. Number
for the
20,
Miners.
R.J. Corderio.
For the Pilots, rather. That's R.J. Cordero, the designated hitter, coming up to the plate. And we mentioned how Miners opened up their season 0-2 against the Oilers. They will have a chance to get a little revenge next Thursday and Friday as the Oilers come on down to town here at Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska for a 2-game series of their own. Hopefully the Miners can even up the season series against them. Day after that being Pancake Breakfast. So looking forward to all 3 of those days, I am. So that one's chopped on over to Jordan. That's going to move the runner to third. He's going to throw it over to Scudder at first for the out. So a ground out, but Watson will advance to third.
Now at the plate for the Pilots.
However, there are 2 outs, and that's going to bring the catcher Tyrus Green to the plate. AJ Lee moving in on the cut of the grass there, and Scooter behind him in left field, also moving in. So they're playing green shallow on the left side of the field. A little bit of a gap out there in left center. Not that big of a gap, obviously, in right. Swung on and missed for a strike. That's going to even up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike here, 2 outs. Top of the second inning here at Herman Brothers Field. No score. Pilots do have a runner at third. That being Kyle Watson, who led off this inning with a walk. Then stole second and reached on the previous ground out by R.J. Cordero, the designated hitter. Tyrus Green, the catcher at the plate, who takes that pitch for a strike. So 1-2 the count on him. Here's the 1-2. Chopped over to Lee over there at third. He's going to muster it up on over to Scudder. Gives him a fist pump because that's going to end the inning. So 1 man left on base here for the Pilots. And we're going to head to the bottom of the second inning here at Herman Brothers Field. Jake Scudder, Madison Nickens, and Jonah Garrison due up for the Miners here on your Metsu Miners Radio Network. We're back here at Herman Brothers Field, and if you're joining into the broadcast, thank you so very much for tuning in here as the visiting Anchorage Pilots are taking on the home team, Matsu Miners. And Jake Scudder, the first baseman, he's going to lead things off here in the bottom of the second for the Miners. Still scoreless here at Herman Brothers Field. Jake Scudder, the left-handed hitting first baseman. Had a round tripper last night, a 3-run blast to kick off a 6-run fourth inning for the Miners. That pitch taken. For a ball, 2-0 on him. Scudder plays at Kansas State, and speaking of those homers, he has 7 homers there, 15 doubles, 1 triple, 45 RBIs in his 57 games. He hit .333 during that span. As that ball hit to short, but it's going to be a 6-3 ground on here on Scudder to start out the bottom of the second inning. Bringing the center fielder Madison Nickens to the plate. He's hit leadoff this year. He's batted 9th. And another batting 6th here tonight. So bouncing around the batting order, Nickens has been doing early on. We'll see what he does here, batting in the 6th hole. Pops that up. Third baseman Ritter giving a chase. He's in foul territory, but is going to make the catch. So 2 quick outs here for Hunter Davis in the bottom of the second inning. That's going to bring up the designated hitter, Jonah Garrison, for the Miners. With 2 outs, nobody on. And with those 2 quick outs, as we always like to mention, perhaps a couple pitches will be taken here by Jonah, as you don't necessarily just want to run Vega right back out there on the mound. Attempted bunt, the home plate umpire says, is called strike 1. And now with outdoor seating, you can enjoy a refreshing drink and good friends outdoors in the Alaska sunshine. Located in downtown Palmer, the Palmer Bar is a great place to grab a bite to eat and take in the sights. Call 907-745-3041 today. 907-745-3041 today. The Palmer Bar.
Sounds like the place to be at.
Especially with the sun shining here tonight, that's no lie there. Good place to celebrate a Miners victory, as we like to say, over here in Palmer. They will have to pick up that victory first, because if it's an L, then you're drowning away the sorrows. Don't want that to be the case. We arrived at the ballpark roughly at 4 p.m., and it was just as sunny and beautiful as it is right now. Then in came the rain, now the sunshine again, and a strikeout here on Jonah Garrison, the designated hitter, to end the inning. So 3 up, 3 down for the Miners, and that's going to take us to the top of the third inning here on your Matsu Miners Radio Network. Back here at Herman Brothers Field, where the leadoff man, Luke Ritter, is going to take the plate here for the Pilots to start off the top of the third. He singled in the first, then stole second, and advanced to third on a ground out, but was unable to score. Hopefully no more stolen bases by the Pilots base runners here. One way you could put an end to that is if you don't put him on base at all. We'll see what happens here at the top of the third inning.
A lot of teams have been taking advantage of stealing bases early on. Catcher's not in midseason form just yet.
Roulette has gotten a couple runners out from behind the dish.
Mm-hmm.
Has allowed a few stolen bases on him as well, so teams will test him. Seems like teams are being aggressive early on, and rightfully so. Jordan, as you mentioned, that catcher's still not even in that midseason form yet, as this still is the beginning of the Alaska Baseball League campaign. Some of these players before a couple days ago not getting in much action, as some baseball leagues, depending on what school they were at, ended up quite some time ago. But regardless, is a 2-0 pitch from Vega. Outside, 3-0. So Vega falling behind in the count here. 3 balls, no strikes. He did walk Watson to lead off the second inning. So this would be the third inning in a row that the leadoff man reaches for the Pilots if Ritter does. But 3-1 is the count on him now as he fouled off that last pitch. Infield at normal depth. Right field, normal. Center field, a little shallow, as that's going to be ball 4 to Ritter. So for the third inning in a row, Vega is going to allow the leadoff man to reach.
Now coming to the plate.
Typically, that comes back to haunt a pitcher eventually. Let's hope that's not the case here, as Vega is playing with fire, though, early on. Innings 1 through 3, allowing the leadoff man to reach.
Ritter did steal a base back in the first inning, and he has a pretty decent lead over there right now. Would not be surprised to see him go. And there he is.
Stops halfway. Stole second in the first.
That was weird. He did stop halfway, but since he was caught in the middle, you would have thought if the batter would have swung and missed, there might have been a play somewhere.
Perhaps trying just to get in the head of Vega. Letting Vega know he does possess speed to wreak havoc over there on the base pads. If the ball is put in play, he will be spinning around those bases. Pitch out there. But Ritter's going to remain at first.
Usually a pitch after a pitch out is when you'll see a lot of runners have the green light, because the team will never throw 2 pitch outs in a row. So we'll see here what Ritter decides to do.
See if they could produce a ground ball. Instead, it's inside. 2-1 the count. So 2-1 the count here in the top of the third inning. We're scoreless at Herman Brothers Field between the Pilots and the Mat-Su Miners. The Pilots left 2 runners on base in the first, 1 runner on base last inning. In the first 2 innings, they did put a runner in scoring position. So they have had minor threats, but Vega's been able to keep them at bay.
Very nice pitch from...
Called strike 3 there by Vegas. That's going to be the first out of the inning. He does retire Gertzenmeyer after walking Ritter.
Now up to bat for the Pilots, number 30, Jack Lebowski.
And that's going to bring up number 30, Jack Lebowski, the first baseman. And if your car needs a new taillight or just any sort of nut, bolt, or screw, be sure to visit the Valley's locally owned and operated Napa Auto Parts. They're in Big Lake, Palmer, and Wasilla. You can visit NapaAlaska.com. Napa Auto Parts, the proud sponsors of this broadcast here. Definitely the people to go to if your car needs any little bit of work. So 1-0 the count here to Jack Lebowski, the first baseman. Gertzenmeyer before him struck out. Runner on first for the Pilots. So 2-0 the count. Vega falling behind once again. Like to see him go on ahead and get ahead of these Pilots hitters. So far, he's kept the damage at an absolute minimum as both teams scoreless on the scoreboard. 2 hits for the Pilots, 1 for the Miners. 2-1 the count with 1 out.
Ooh, he might have got him.
Yeah, and the pickoff attempt there by Vega. Scudder applying a great tag. That is going to be the second out. So Ritter flirting over there at first base as if he was going to go to second, constantly giving Vega a little bit of trouble. And Vega's going to tell him to get on back to the dugout with that nonsense.
It's the second pickoff in as many days for the Matsu Miners. Jacob Huey had one yesterday.
And if the opposing team is going to be aggressive on the base paths, you at least want to know you can get them out one way or another. Roulette, as we mentioned, has gunned out a couple from behind the plate, and second pickoff in as many days for the Miners. So there you go, boys. As the count now runs full on Lebowski.
If you're the Matsu Miners coaching staff here, out of getting each quality start from your pitchers, every single pitcher so far, and the bullpen has been lights out as well, not giving up a run yet this season.
As that ball's tapped right on back to Vega at first. He's going to get it, makes the play over there to Scudder. So after giving up the leadoff walk, he strikes out Gertzenmeyer, picks Ritter off at first, and then gets the ground out to end the inning here. So we're going to head to the bottom of the third inning. Lee, Bynum, and Schwartz due up for the Miners on your Matsu Miners Radio Network. Bottom of the third inning here at Herman Brothers Field. Third baseman A.J. Lee due up for the Miners here as Hunter Davis of the Pilots, the pitcher, finishing up his warm-up tosses. Still a scoreless game here early on. Both teams still settling in, both defensively and offensively. Like to see a little rally here from the Miners. As we've mentioned already, this is the battle for first place, as the winner of this game tied early on with the Peninsula Oilers at atop of the leaderboard for the Alaska Baseball League. And it is early on, but after starting out the season 0-2 in Kenai, it would be a good feeling to technically be able to call yourself the first place team.
Yeah, you know, this team looks completely different than they did in their first two games. Aside from the pitching was always spot on from the start of the season, but the bats have gotten alive ever since that road trip in Kenai, and it's definitely great to see.
And you would like to think with the more work they put in, the better the hitting will get. Of course, you would imagine there is some type of ceiling, but as long as they just keep trying up there at the plate, can only hope for good things to come as A.J. Lee's going to call for time and step out. He does have a 1-0 count on him. That ball chopped right back at Davis, and it's going to find a home up the middle and in the outfield. So a leadoff single here by the third baseman, A.J. Lee. Going to bring Scooter Bynum to the plate.
The left fielder, number 9.
He's manning left field today for the Miners. So the leadoff man aboard for the boys that call Herman Brothers Field their home. Chopped down, but the ump's going to call it foul. Tyrus Green, the catcher, got to it quickly. Fired it on down to second, but it's just going to be a foul ball. Scooter's going to retrieve his bat, head on back to the batter's box. A.J. Lee's going to turn around, head on back to first. And we'll do it all over again.
It's a good thing for the Miners that it was a foul ball as well, as the catcher threw a rocket all the way down to second base as if he thought it was fair, and it would have gotten Jordan out or Lee out at second base.
Now Bynum shows bunt, and it's a good one. That's going to get the job done. Davis collects it and throws on over to Lebowski for out number 1. But the sacrifice there.
Now it's back to the Miners. The right fielder, number 18.
And that's going to move A.J. Lee into scoring position. Good thinking there by Bynum. Don't necessarily know if he was told to bunt or if he did it himself, but regardless, still puts Lee in scoring position. That's going to bring up Garrison Schwartz, who's been swinging the lumber well for the Miners.
Yeah, he certainly did his job with nobody out. He decided to, lay it down unsuccessfully the first time, and the second time was a much better bunt.
So there's 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. No runs, 2 hits, and no errors for both clubs. A.J. Lee, the Miners' third baseman, is at second. Schwartz at the plate. Jordan on deck. Bissonette in the hole. Swung on. It looks like this one's going to split the gap. It is over the head of Gillette in center field. Reaches the wall. A.J. Lee giving the green light. Show is Schwartz to get into third, and he's going to get there standing up. So a stand-up RBI triple for the man of Grand Canyon University, Garrison Schwartz.
Yeah, that was rocketed into right center field. And, the outfield was playing Schwartz in for whatever reason. Schwartz, the leadoff hitter today. It sends that deep into right center field. Nobody was even close. And you knew that was trouble as soon as it was off the bat of Garrison Schwartz. And the Miners will be playing from in front here this evening.
A.J. Lee reached on a single to start this inning, and Scooter Bynum with a good sacrifice bunt moved him over to second in scoring position. And Schwartz definitely doing a good enough job there as he gets a stand-up triple. So if Levi Jordan can get this deep enough in the outfield, you'd imagine the second run of the game for the Miners. Or he just go on ahead and get a hit, save the Miners the out. And that'll bring in run number 2. As that pitch outside, 2-0 on Levi.
Jordan got a base hit toward third base back in the first inning. He's been swinging a hot bat as of late.
And speaking of hot bats, I got to tell you, Garrison Schwartz has just been absolutely spectacular for the Miners as there is a single over the head of the second baseman. Schwartz is just going to mosey on to the plate. And that is going to be the second run plated here for the Miners in the bottom of the 3rd. They lead it by a score of 2-0 after that single by Levi Jordan.
Yeah, so Schwartz with a hot bat, but now Jordan with a hot bat as well. I mentioned earlier that he went 2 for 4 in yesterday's game. That was his first bit of taste of the ABL yesterday, and he's already 2 for 2. And and we've still got a long ways to go.
We were talking with Coach Ben Taylor before Levi Jordan arrived, and he was talking a lot about his defense and how good it was. Didn't really mention too much of the bat, although that wasn't really a question asked or discussed. But you could see early on here, Levi Jordan just in 2 games showing he could swing the lumber. And I will say that's reassuring as a broadcaster when the coach is talking about Jordan's defense. So you trust his defense there. That's one of the main reasons they brought him up. And obviously he could swing the bat, so Taylor must have saw something in Levi Jordan's swing, as he did hit .316 this past season at the University of Washington, so there you go. Also homered with 26 RBIs. He had 2 hits and a run scored and an RBI last night, and another RBI here tonight with a single. 1-1 the count on Bissonette with 1 out. Levi Jordan goes. Looked like it might have been a hit and run as Jordan was steering home that whole time. No contact was made, though, by the swing and the miss by Bissonette. And caught stealing is Levi Jordan. For out number 2 of the inning. So now no base runners for the number 3 hitter tonight, shortstop Josh Bissonette. The count 1-2 on him with 2 outs. Bissonette going to serve this one in between right and second, but Feldstein's going to run out, make the catch for out number 3. That's going to end the bottom of the 3rd inning, but not before the Miners post 2 runs here. So we're going to head to the top of the 4th inning. Miners with the lead early on here by a score of 2-0 on your Matsu Miners radio network. Good vibes here in the top of the 4th inning at Herman Brothers Field as the Miners took a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 3rd. So right-handed hurler Carlos Vega pitching with his first lead of the night.
Number 33,
And it's going to be Joe Gillette leading it off here, the center fielder for the Pilots. Gillette singling his first at-bat in the 1st inning. Pitch by Vega is in the dirt.
Yeah, Vega's already at, well, this makes it the 51st pitch of the game for Carlos Vega. About 50% strikes and 50% balls.
So over half a century mark already in pitches for Vega. Part of that reason being because got himself in a couple of small jams early on in the first couple of innings, but was able to battle through it. And he's got a 1-1 count here now on Joe Gillette, the center fielder. Low, and he's going to fall behind in the count 2-1. As I don't know if you heard through the speakers there at home, umpire saying 2-1. The scoreboard wasn't necessarily correct there, but now it is. And just as they corrected the scoreboard here at Herman Brothers Field, going to have to put another ball up there as the count falls to 3-1 here to the cleanup man, Joe Gillette. Slapped over to left field, but that is going to be a foul ball. And luckily it was, because if that would have reached the line, even with the speed of Scooter Bynum, I can imagine Gillette would have at least made a pretty hard turn at first and thought about making it 2. But instead it's just a full count to the leadoff hitter. Batting in the 4th spot today, but leading off this inning. Don't want to confuse anybody at home. As good breaking ball there by Vega for the first strikeout of the inning.
Now coming to the plate for the Pilots, number 7.
That's Vega's 4th strikeout of the day. That's his 2nd strikeout looking victim.
So down goes Joe Gillette on strikes. That's going to bring up Jeremiah Burks. Flew out to Scooter Bynum, his previous at-bat. That ended the first inning minor rally. I should say small rally, because don't want to get anybody confused by saying minor rally at home, as it was a Pilots rally. So that ball popped up in the infield. Vega can't find it, but AJ Lee's waving everybody else off. And that worked out well there, considering Vega was asking everybody else in the infield where it was at, but no problem for AJ Lee. He had his eyes on it.
Back to the Pilots,
Camped underneath it and made out number 2.
Kyle Watson.
So the first 2 batters out here bring shortstop Kyle Watson up to the plate. This is the type of inning you like to see here by Vega. Maybe settling down a little more here in the top of the 4th as he's pitching with his first lead of the day. And Dr. K's Pediatric Dentistry is a beautiful, brand new, state-of-the-art dental office and friendly and convenient Palmer, especially designed for children. Your child's comfort and safety is their top priority. Check them out online at matsumuse.com or call 745-KIDS. That's 745-5437. Dr. K's Pediatric Dentistry. But before you take them to the dentist, be sure to head on over to the concession stands for a variety of chocolate and candy mixes.
Or you can try some burgers and hot dogs.
Minor dog, minor burger. But the best thing to top that off is with Reese's Pieces for dessert. No, they definitely have the Reese's Cups down there as 1 and 2 the count on Watson, and maybe he didn't like what we were talking about as he fouled it right back at us. Second ball fouled back toward the broadcast booth here tonight. You're putting on your sunglasses as if that's going to bring you any protection, Jordan. I hate to say this to you, but it's not.
Believe it or not, it does protect me from the sun, not the ball, though.
That's true, as I am fortunate enough to somewhat be in the shade here at Herman Brothers Field.
I would be gladly to switch seats with you, though, friend.
Negative. I like being in the shade. Vega's on the mound. The 1-2 pitch popped up short center field, but Bissonnette's going to get over there. The shortstop nearly fall down as he makes that catch. Might not have looked the prettiest, but I'll tell you what, it is out number 3, and that is going to send us to the bottom of the 4th inning here at Herman Brothers Field on your wonderful Matsu Miners Radio Network.
I have some
Dan Collins alongside Jordan Swick here at Herman Brothers Field, where we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. The Miners leading the Pilots by a score of 2-0. As they just finished off reading the raffle ticket winners here at Herman Brothers. Don't necessarily know what the prize is. A little upset I didn't put my bid in for a ticket.
Missed opportunity, I guess.
It is a missed opportunity. However, I do have the luxury of telling you that it is Josh Roulette, Jake Scudder, and Madison Nickens due up here for the boys of green and yellow.
Now, I want to update you on a score update around the ABL. The Chugach Eagle River Chinooks are leading the Anchorage Bucks by a score of 2-0, and they're currently in the bottom half of the third inning. And you know, we play the Chinooks in our next two games there, so that game has a little bit of significance toward us.
And we did just defeat the Chinooks last night by a score of 7-1.
Team looked really good there, especially the bats. They came to life in the bottom half of the fourth inning.
As that ball is lifted into left center field. Galette's under it. He'll make the catch for out number 1. Toss the ball line back into the infield. So Roulette, who struck out in the first inning, flies out here to start the fourth for the Miners.
Now stepping to the plate for the Miners.
That's going to bring up the first baseman, Jake Scudder,
Jake Scudder
from Kansas State. Where's the number 22 for the Miners? One out here, nobody on.
And this was the guy who got all started yesterday with that big 3-run home run to right center field yesterday to give the Miners a 3-1 lead over the Chinooks, and that jump started a 6-run bottom half of the fourth inning.
So that ball grounded over to second, sucked up and thrown over to Lebowski at first. So if you're keeping score at home, that's a ground out 4-3 for out number 2. That is going to bring up Madison Nickens, the center fielder, to the plate.
The center fielder, number 12.
Goes to school in the Big Ten, that being Maryland, where he designated hits and plays the outfield.
Maryland, a Big Ten school. You know, that in Rutgers, it still sounds very weird to me.
You're going to have to get used to it, as I'm sure Nickens is used to it. He's from Louisville. Goes to school in the Northeast. Is that ball taken low? 2 balls, no strikes. And we were actually talking to Madison earlier while grabbing a couple burgers, and he said that his folks from back home who tune into the broadcast from time to time happen to enjoy listening to us two knuckleheads. So if any one of you are listening in tonight, we do thank you and appreciate the compliment. It is a joy being able to be up here in Palmer, Alaska, and watch Nickens play. He is quite the ball player. As he attempts a bunt there, it's fouled. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Now on Nickens. So that's at least one fan out there.
That we know of.
Yep. Make it 1. Nickens batting on the left side of the box. Deuces wild on the board. Here's the pitch. Inside, full count. Good job by Nickens here to run the count full after 2 fairly quick outs to start the bottom half of this inning. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So it is going to be 3 up, 3 down here for Davis in the 4th. So we're going to head to the 5th inning here with the Miners leading the Pilots by a score of 2-0, and it's on your Matsu Miners radio network. We're at Herman Brothers Field here, heading to the top of the 5th inning. Dan Collins alongside Jordan Swick. And if you were tuning in last inning, did mention that we have at least one fan, that being the Nickens residents, family of Madison Nickens. And we probably already lost that vote of confidence as, and it was kind of strange that I did mention that. I said Nickens from Louisville going to school, though, in the Northwest. He is from Louisiana, and I did know that because that's part of what we were talking about as we were grabbing our burgers at the concession stand. Let him know that I just recently visited New Orleans this year, that being for spring vacation. He told me about his opinions of New Orleans, which were pretty good. And so how I forgot that, I have no clue. So we do apologize. Hopefully we keep our fans. At the very least, you can remain fans of the Miners, who do lead it by a score of 2-0 here. In the top of the 5th inning at Herman Brothers Field. Carlos Vega toeing the slab tonight for the Miners. He falls behind in the count, 3 balls, no strikes. Right fielder, Isaac Feldstein. Three balls, one strike here with nobody out. To the Pilots right fielder. He's going to earn himself here a base on balls. Going to bring number 20, the designated hitter, R.J. Cordero, up to the plate.
Number 20, R.J. Cordero.
Third time tonight, that Vega has allowed the leadoff man to reach. So the ball swung on and fouled over on left field side. Foul territory, so retrieving back to first is Isaac Feldstein, the right fielder for the Pilots. Beautiful night here in Palmer. As if you're an Alaska native, it's not going to shock you that the sun is still out, as that ball rifled over the head of Scudder at first base into right field. Schwartz is going to get to it, but not before the turn is made at second by Feldstein, and into third he goes. Remaining at first is Cordero, but he is going to put runners on the corners there. So runners on the corners, nobody out here for the Pilots, who trail it by a score of 2-0. Going to bring catcher Tyrus Green up to the plate.
And that's going to bring pitching coach Matt Greeley to the mound here, as there is some activity going in the Miners bullpen. We'll let you know as soon as we figure out who is warming up down there.
61 degrees here in Palmer, as I was just recently telling you about the fantastic weather we were having. That weather coming in exactly right after that thunderstorm early on. So Greeley out to talk to Vega. As we did mention, activity in the Miners bullpen. Vega already thrown quite a little bit of pitches here in the 5th inning. However, you would like to see him get out of this inning and put himself in line for the win. So the Miners infielders now gather around Greeley, Roulette, and Vega at the mound. And if you want to know where they spend their mornings, well, the Miners spend their mornings lifting, running, and staying in shape by visiting the Alaska Club. Visit them in Anchorage, Eagle River, Fairbanks, Juneau, and the Mat-Su Valley. You visit www.thealaskaclub.com. Had quite the workout earlier this morning. Surprised I was still able to make it to work tonight. No pain, no gain, as Grissom was telling me at the gym. Started doing my squats. Put in a little bit of cardio. Supposed to go 10 minutes. Ended up only going 2. As that ball fouled away And it's just a souvenir for a lucky fan. That being, look at that, a little youngster. Looks like he's decked out in minors gear, jumping up and down, happy for the foul ball he just received. Now he's going to go over, show mom and dad. Attaboy, kid. A souvenir for the youngster. Runners on the corners for the Pilots. That ball chopped right back at Vega. And now he's going to throw it first for the out. He had Feldstein caught in a rundown between third and home if he wanted it. He was staring right at Feldstein as he was caught in between third and first. And while he was staring at him, opted to instead throw the first for the out.
You know, you're taught to look the runner back, but he looked at the runner, but he never looked him back as Feldstein was just caught dead in the middle. He would have been dead if he decided to go home with it or back to third. But nonetheless, he decides to go for the sure out at first base, but a run does score, and they've cut their run in half.
Yeah, if Vega fires that over to Lee, or maybe even Roulette, but definitely if he fires it over to Lee at third base, they have Feldstein hung up to dry, as that would have created a rundown. Feldstein would have been in the pickle, and all A.J. Lee would have had to do was chase him a little bit towards home, hand it off over to Roulette, and it probably would have been an out right there. But for whatever reason, Vega opting to go to first. It is going to be the first out of the inning here for the Miners. 1 ball, 2 strikes on the leadoff man, Luke Ritter. That does cut the lead in half. So now 2-1 the score here at Herman Brothers Field. 1 run on 3 hits and no errors for the Pilots. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the Miners. So that ball taken inside and is going to even the count up at 2-2.
And it is Connor Higgins warming up in the Miners bullpen, the left-handed flamethrower from Arizona State University.
Higgins surely could throw the heat. And that ball fouled on back. Scoreboard reading 2 outs, but I'm a little confused there. As yes, it should be 1. That's what I mentioned on the last play. So a little trouble there in the scoreboard booth, I'm supposing. But nonetheless, paying attention we are here in the broadcast, thankfully. As taken at the knees, and that is going to be out number 2. Thankfully, they don't change it to 3 on the scoreboard. Walking up to the plate comes Jack Gertzenmeyer, the second baseman. 2 outs here. And a runner on second for the Pilots, who trail it by a score of 2-1 in the top of the 5th inning. Gertzenmeyer popped to first in the first inning and then struck out in the third. So 0 for 2 on the night is the second baseman. And it looks like it's going to be 0 for 3 as he grounds it over to Bissonette, who cannot come up with it. So Bissonette not being able to come up with it. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be scored, but I'm sure it's going to be an error. And if it is, that will be his 5th of the season.
Now coming to the plate for the Pilots.
So just a bit of bad luck going on for our shortstop here. E6, if you are scoring at home, that is going to bring the first baseman, Jack Lebowski, at the plate. Took a little bit of a tough hop there on Bissonette. He's had to deal with quite a few of those here early on in the season. A lot of unfortunate hops out there for our shortstop. He does possess the talent to get back on track, however. Roulette showing the signs. He's going to get into his crouching position. Vega checks his fielders. Reads the signs one more time from Roulette. And here's the pitch. Taken for a strike. 0-1. So 0-1 the count here on the Jack Lebowski, the first baseman, who is batting third today for the Pilots. There are runners at the corners. And a quick score update, 2-1 here at Herman Brothers Field. Miners lead. high, and that's going to even the count at 1. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning. Runners on the corners for the Pilots. Taken, strike 2. So 1-2 the count on Jack Big Lebowski. Here's the pitch. Taken foul. As Gertzenmeyer was taken off on that pitch. Had to retrieve on back to first base. Here's the pitch. Swung it over to Bissonette again. He's going to have another chance to come up with this one. Over to Scudder. And there you have it. The 6-3 put out, and that one's going to end the inning. So test Bissonette the second time. It will come back to bite you as he gets Vega out of this inning. And the bottom of the order, 7, 8, 9, due up for the Miners here as we head to the bottom of the 5th on your Mat-Su Miners Radio Network. Jonah Garrison, the designated hitter at the plate here for the Miners to lead off the bottom of the 5th. Miners lead the Pilots by a score of 2-1. Here at Herman Brothers Field, first pitch swung on by Garrison. 1 run on 3 hits, no errors for the Pilots. 2 runs on 4 hits, 1 error for the Miners. Here's the pitch, swung on and missed. Strike 2 to Jonah Garrison. AJ Lee on deck. Scooter Minum in the hole. And taken strike 3. So good morning, good afternoon, good night to Jonah Garrison, who strikes out looking to start here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the man who mans the hot corner for the Miners tonight, AJ Lee, up to the plate. He singled and scored in the 3rd. Was the first run of the inning. Check that out of the game for the Miners and of the inning. That 2-run inning back in the 3rd.
Connor Higgins is still warming up in the Miners bullpen, so you got to think that he might be coming on here in the top half of the 6th inning.
And if he does come on in the top half of the 6th inning, with the score, if it were to remain the same here at 2-1, Vega would be in line for the win. So just glad to see Vega can put himself in that position. That swung on in the dirt for strike 3. Being thrown on down to first, and we're going to make it official.
Now up to the Miners, the left fielder, number 9, Scooter Bynum.
So back-to-back strikeouts by Hunter Davis to start out this Bottom of the fifth inning, and that's going to bring up Scooter Bynum, who had a sac bunt, moved A.J. Lee over to scoring position in the bottom of the third inning. Of course, he was driven in by the man in the on-deck circle, Garrison Schwartz, by that RBI stand-up triple. Levi Jordan, the man who's in the hole, brought him home with an RBI single.
In case you were wondering, Carlos Vega, today's starter for the Miners, at 83 pitches through 4 innings. So it could pretty much be the end of the day for Vega, but not quite at that 100 pitch mark that everybody seems to base off their start.
Be so fond of. That ball off the padding of the catcher green. It's going to run the count to 2-0 on Scooter Bynum. We did mention on a broadcast earlier in the year that Scooter likes to go up there old school with no batting gloves. However, he does have batting gloves in his back pocket. So an interesting choice. Going to have to ask him about that eventually.
Ooh.
And rifled right back and knocked down by Davis. He had it in his glove at first and dropped it. Shook off any little bit of nerves there. Then scooped up the ball, threw it over to Lebowski to end the inning here. Strikes out the first 2 batters he faces, has one knocked right back at him. But collects it and throws it over to first for the final out here in the 5th inning. We're going to head to the 6th. The Miners lead it by a score of 2-1 on your Matsu Miners Radio Network. Back here at Herman Brothers Field, where we take this ball game to the top of the 6th inning, and a new pitcher towing the slab for the Miners, that being the southpaw flamethrower Connor Higgins. This being his second appearance of the season. In his first appearance, he ended up going 2 innings, surrendering 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned, and 2 walks. So you could go on ahead and close the book on Vega, who at this point is in line for the win. He had 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, allowed 3 hits, and a run. It was earned tonight. So Joe Gillette, the center fielder, digging into the batter's box, and Higgins with his first pitch, taken for a strike. He sure does throw the heat, doesn't he, Connor Higgins?
Yeah, the GM Pete Christopher said that he can get the fastball up there to 95 miles an hour. And he's a very big guy. So you expect that from a big pitcher.
It seemed like in his first appearance down there in Anchorage for the team's first win, he was trying to do maybe a little bit too much. Perhaps maybe trying to show off a little bit of that velocity. Not 100% sure. But regardless, the Miners still victorious in Anchorage that night, picking up their first win of the year. Picked up their second win last night. Hoping to pick up their third win tonight. That would put them in a tie with the Peninsula Oilers for first place. As that pitch taken inside, and that'll move the count to 2-1 on the center fielder, Joe Gillette. So Vega got himself in a couple jams tonight. A few little ones, but only giving up the one run. That last pitch taken for a strike at the knees. So it's now 2-2 the count. With no outs here in the top of the sixth inning. If you're just joining us, welcome into the broadcast. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So the first hitter Higgins sees today is going to put him down on strikes. And that's going to bring up the left fielder, Jeremiah Burks, to the plate.
Number 7, Jeremiah Burks.
Burks is 0 for 2 on the day. He is flat out in his previous 2 at bats here, batting .200 on the season.
Heads up being called by all the fans here at the ballpark as that one was fouled back. Had a look to see where that ball went myself. Not so sure, but strike nonetheless here on the left fielder, Burks. Five runners left on base so far for the Pilots. Only one runner left on base for the Miners, who lead the Pilots here in the top of the sixth inning by a score of 2-1. Here's the pitch by Higgins. Strike number 2.
Higgins coming right out and throwing strikes right away. He got Gillette to strike out swinging in his first at bat. Or
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Roulette, because it fell in the dirt, is going to throw it on down to Scudder to make it official. The boys will throw it around the horn, and Higgins comes in and strikes out the first 2 batters he faces. Both courtesy of a swing and a miss. That is going to bring up the shortstop for the Pilots tonight, Kyle Watson. And Dr. K's Pediatric Dentistry in Palmer believes the best dental care can only happen when a trusting and respectful relationship has been built between the doctor, parents, and their children in a safe, fun, stress-free environment. It's Dr. K's goal to change how you think about going to the dentist. Give them a call. Learn about their philosophy at 745-KIDS. That's 745-5437 to make an appointment. Or you can go online at matsumoose.com. So 0-1 the count here on Kyle Watson, the shortstop, in the top of the sixth. High, 1-1. Connor Higgins on in his first inning of relief for Miners starting pitcher Carlos Vega. Struck out the first 2 batters he saw. Taken, strike 2.
man, I really wish we had the option to have
A radar gun up here in the booth. I read your mind.
because you can hear the impact from the ball hitting Roulette's catcher's mitt.
It's definitely the loudest we've heard all night tonight. Fouled off. Yeah, out of the 3 pitchers on the bump, that being Carlos Vega for the Miners, Hunter Davis for the Pilots, and now Connor Higgins in relief, definitely the loudest slap. Not sure how much they can hear it at home, but if they can, give it a listen. 1 ball, 2 strike, 2 outs. Swung on, hit to Bissonette, who's going to vacuum it up there at short. On over to Scudder. And that is a 6-3 put out if you're scoring at home to end the inning. Top of the order due up here for the Miners, who lead the Pilots by a score of 2-1 at Herman Brothers Field on your Matsu Miners radio network. Miners lead the Pilots here in the bottom of the 6th inning
Now coming to
at
the plate
Herman
for the
Brothers
Miners.
Field. Top of the
Right
order,
fielder,
Garrison Schwartz,
number
Levi
18,
Jordan, and
Garrison
Josh Bissonette
Schwartz.
due up for your Matsu Miners. Schwartz grounded to first. Check that, grounded to second in the 1st inning. Had an RBI stand-up triple in the 3rd. We'll see what he does here in the 6th. Swung out and lifted his right center. Center fielder's under it. He'll make the catch for out number 1. Second baseman Levi Jordan coming up to the plate.
Now coming to the plate for the Miners, the second baseman, number 1, Levi Jordan.
Levi Jordan with a pair of singles today. One of those being an RBI single back in the 3rd inning, which scored Schwartz. Plated the 2nd run of the night for the Miners. And so far, that's all they have is 2 runs on 4 hits and an error for the Miners tonight so far. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for the Pilots. The 2-0 to Levi. Swung on and chopped foul. Skipper Ben Taylor putting out his right hand there, made somewhat of an effort for it. Let it go on by and dribbled down to the Pilots bullpen where they do have activity. Southpaw warming up in the pen for the Pilots. Ball inside on Jordan. It's going to bring the count to 3-1 on the second baseman who's batting second tonight. The pitch. And that's going to hit him inside, right off the backside of Jordan. No chance to get out of the way of that one.
Now coming to the
Seen the
plate for the
grimace
Miners,
on his
the
face.
shortstop, number 6,
Definitely looked like it stung a little bit.
Bissonette.
He will be rewarded by taking first, though, and that's going to bring up the shortstop, Josh Bissonette, who is 0 for 2 on the night. Flew out to right field in his last at-bat in the 3rd. We're back here at Herman Brothers Field. Here in the top of the 7th inning, Connor Higgins on for his 2nd inning of relief here for the Miners. 7, 8, and 9 hitters due up for the Pilots, that being Isaac Feldstein, RJ Cordero, and the catcher Tyrus Green.
Coming to bat for the
And if
Pilots,
there were any
number 3,
technical difficulties that past inning, we do apologize. Not sure exactly if there was, but receiving word that there just might have been. We hope not. Regardless, if you are just tuning in, top of the 7th inning here at Herman Brothers Field, the spectacular Herman Brothers Field, that is. The Mat-Su Miners lead the Anchorage Pilots by a score of 2-1. Feldstein struck out in the 2nd, walked and scored in the 5th. That pitch low, 1-1. That pitch taken foul. And summer is the perfect opportunity to work on your golf game. The Palmer Golf Course is located right in the heart of Palmer, just about 2 miles from Herman Brothers Field. Call 907-745-4653 for more information. That ball's grounded. Running in is Lee from 3rd. Throw over to Scudder. That's going to be out number 1. So Feldstein goes down 5-3 to start out the 7th inning. And up is the designated hitter, RJ Cordero.
The designated hitter, number 20, RJ Cordero.
So, in case you wanted to work on that golf game, once again, that's 907-745-4653 for more information on the Palmer Golf Course.
You're not much of a golfer, are you?
No, and I don't play one on the radio either, so that's okay. I'll stick to broadcasting. Never broadcasted golf, don't know how that would be. Tend to like baseball and how things are down here in Alaska, so perhaps I'll just stick to this. 1-1, the count here now. On the designated hitter for the Pilots, RJ Cordero. That pitch inside, 2-1. There is one out here. Feldstein led things off. The right fielder with the ground out to 3rd. Good play by Lee, running in and vacuuming that up and throwing it over to Scudder. Is that ball grounded foul? So 2-2 the count. That'll even things up. And we mentioned last inning that there was activity in the Pilots' pen. It looks like they still do have a southpaw warming up in the left field bullpen.
And the Miners also have activity in the bullpen as well.
So both teams with action in their bullpens. A swing and a miss. That is going to be Higgins' 3rd strikeout. This being his 2nd inning of work. All strikeouts being a courtesy of a swing and a miss. And that is going to bring up the number 9 hitter, catcher Tyrus Green. So far, Higgins has retired every Pilot he has seen. 3 strikeouts.
Number 35.
That's what you like to see from your flamethrower.
No, he's had 2 strikes on every single hitter he's faced here today. So he's always on the verge of striking somebody out. So 3 strikeouts in his 5 batters that he's faced here today.
That one swing and a miss, strike 1. And those 2 other outs, both ground balls, a ground ball to short and a ground ball to 3rd. So the Pilots yet to get the ball out of the infield here against Connor Higgins, who is up in the count here against the number 9 hitter Green. That ball chopped over to Lee. Ball still hasn't left the infield of Higgins. Lee's going to throw it on over to 1st and retire Green for the 3rd out of the inning. So 6 up, 6 down for Connor Higgins so far in his 2 innings of relief. And that is going to bring us on to the bottom of the 7th inning. And that's going to bring everybody here at Herman Brothers Field up for a 7th inning stretch. We'll be back shortly here on your Mat-Su Miners Radio Network. We're back here at Herman Brothers Field here in the bottom of the 7th inning. 7th inning stretch, which was sung on by a YouTube version of Harry Carey and the rest of the fans. Concluding here, and a new pitcher for the Pilots, that being Nathan Bonk, the southpaw. This is going to be his second appearance of the year. In his first appearance, he went 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, 2 runs. They were both unearned and 3 walks. As he's going to get the first batter of the inning here to fly out to center field, that being Madison Nickens, the center fielder. So 1 out early on here in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, there's been a lot of minors today going at the very first pitch, and they've it seemed like they've been out every single time they've swung at the first pitch and put the ball in play. And you know that was a reason why Hunter Davis went a little bit longer than Carlos Vega did. He had his pitch count a lot lower than Vega. And Nathan Bonk, who just came in relief for Hunter Davis, 1 pitch, 1 out.
So a little more aggressive at the plate here are the Miners tonight. And if you're ready for a quick score update at Mulcahy Stadium down in Anchorage, the Bucks trailed the visiting Chugach Eagle River Chinooks by a score of 4-0. So if that score were to hold up, remember it is just in the 5th inning, the Chinooks will move to 2-2. The Bucks will fall to 2-3 as that ball grounded to short by Garrison. And that is going to be out number 2 of the inning. But as I was saying, that would bring the Chinooks to 2-2. The Bucks would fall to 2-3. And if the score remains the same here in Herman Brothers Field, the Miners will move to 3-2, and the Pilots will move to 2-3. So to bring that all now into layman terms and to put a better perspective on it, that would make a 2-way tie at first. No other teams would be tied at first. It would just be the Oilers and the Miners leading the league with a 3-2 record. The Bucks and Pilots, the 2 Anchorage clubs, will be 2-3, and the Chinooks would be 2-2. So a game of high importance here tonight early on. It is early, but this is one of the games you look back at and say it could start off some momentum. Much better coming to the ballpark tomorrow knowing you're tied for first as opposed to still floating around at the lower half of the standings. As the count now 0-1 to the second batter of the inning, third baseman A.J. Lee. He's going to pop it up over to second base. Now the right fielder, Feldstein, is going to come on and make the grab for out number 2. Check that out number 3 as I am keeping score here in my book. Got to get my water bottle out the way. And that is going to bring us to the top of the 8th inning. The Miners do lead the Pilots here by a score 2-1, and it's on your Matsu Miners Radio Network. Top of the order, due up for the Pilots here in the top of the 8th inning. And a pitching change here for the Miners. Big boy Jordan Floyd. Big boy Floyd on for the Miners. Closed the book on the reliever Higgins. He had 2 perfect innings and 3 strikeouts.
Brickler.
Floyd on the year, he does have one appearance. He went 1 inning and 1 strikeout in that inning. So not a bad inning of relief for Floyd, this being his second appearance now. And one in relief outing by Connor Higgins. Fans 3 batters, 3 groundouts. Ball didn't leave the infield on him. All right.
Yeah, and another great job by the bullpen so far, putting up 2 scoreless innings to keep the bullpen ERA at 0 for the season through, what is this, 5th game? This is the 5th game, isn't it?
Yes, sir, my friend. And just put it in a little bit more perspective, Higgins was just nasty.
Oh, yeah. Every batter that Higgins faced was whiffing pretty bad.
As we mentioned, we hope you can hear the pop back at home. Even if your volume was tuned down pretty low, as I know it can be pretty late in certain places. You still would have heard it, and check swing out, says the first base umpire. So Luke Ritter, the leadoff man, goes down swinging here to start things off in the 8th inning. It's going to bring up the second baseman, Jack Gertzenmeyer.
Number 22. Jack.
Yeah, yesterday the Miners pitching staff had a total of 15 strikeouts. And today, a little bit more of the same, not quite 15. We're at 9.
Yeah, they are just fanning opponents. As first pitch here on Gertzenmeyer, the second baseman, taken for a strike. The southpaw Jordan Floyd here in relief. Second relief pitcher used so far by Ben Taylor. Carlos Vega did start the game. He went 5 innings, giving up 1 run. It was earned. Struck out 5 and walked 3. He is in line for the win, where it stands now. Hunter Davis, the starting pitcher for the Pilots, he's in line for the L. Let's hope that's in the official scorebook tonight. As here's the 1-2. Swung on. 1 chop over to Bissonette. Over to Scudder. High throw, but Scudder's going to pick it and apply the tag.
What a play by first baseman Jake Scudder, preventing that ball from going perhaps out of play. But if that goes over Scudder, that runner's easily on second base, and he saves he saves Bissonette from an error.
Would have been his second error of the night. A hard chopper over there to short, but Scudder picking that one from the air. Usually those first basemen pick it from the dirt. They had to snag that one. Like I said, apply the tag, and applied it beautifully on Gertzenmeyer. And now it's going to be 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning. Jack Lebowski, the first baseman at the plate. Pilots trail the Miners by a score of 2-1. That's hidden into center field. Nickens is going to dive for it. Off his glove, Scooter Bynum running over from left. He's going to throw it on in. Going for third is Lebowski. He's going to get there standing. Nickens dove for it out there in left center field, right off the tip of his glove. Rolled all the way on back to the wall. Luckily, Scooter Bynum, the left field, hustling all the way over there, getting the ball in time. Lebowski's going to reach third on that. Stand-up triple. A couple stand-up triples today. One by the Pilots, one for the Miners, that being Garrison Schwartz back in the third inning for the first RBI of the day. Of course, he scored A.J. Lee.
It was a little bit of a risky dive from Nickens, as he was very close to making the catch there. But like you mentioned, partner, that did get back to the wall, and Scooter Bynum was not even that close to him, so it allows Lebowski to get all the way to third standing up. But fortunately for the Miners, they do have 2 outs.
Was risky, but no risk, no reward. And Nickens nearly rewarded on that one. If Floyd could get out of the inning here, it'd be all worth the risk. As the count is 2-0 on the cleanup man playing center field tonight, Joe Gillette. Here's the pitch. Low, and it's going to be 3 balls, no strikes. On deck is the left fielder for the Pilots, Jeremiah Burks. who naturally is an infield/utility man. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the Pilots only have one of their 4 outfielders reporting for duty so far, still waiting on 3 to arrive. There's the pitch, and that's 4 straight balls thrown by Floyd after that stand-up triple. Gillette's going to mosey on down to first, and Burks is going to make his way up to the batter's box. Righty against lefty here. Shall I say lefty versus righty, however you want to view it. So runners on the corners here for the Pilots in the top of the 8th inning. They do trail it by a run, 2-1. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the Pilots. 2 runs, 5 hits, and an error for your Mat-Su Miners. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Much to the fans' delight here at Herman Brothers Field. Much to the broadcast booth's delight.
The home broadcast booth's delight.
Got that correct. And might as well mention the home dugout as well. So it's the 0-1 from Floyd. High. Snagged in the air by Roulette. Good little snag, and it's a 1-1 count. Burks flew out to left in the first. And then popped in the 4th. Struck out in the 6th. So 0 for 3 on the night is Burks. Ball low, says the home plate umpire behind the dish. 2-1. Runners on the corners, but there are 2 outs here at Herman Brothers Field. Big boy Floyd in relief. Connor Higgins pitched 2 filthy innings of relief prior, in which he was perfect. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Deuce is wild up on the scoreboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 men on. Miners lead it 2-1. And the pitch. Swung out a little nibbler to third base, but it's going to go foul. Lucky it did, because if that stayed fair, A.J. Lee would have been in a world of trouble. His best play might have been home, and even if he threw it there, no way he's going to get Lebowski. Would have been close, but regardless, I don't have to make that call. It's just going to be another 2-2 pitch coming our way. And here is that 2-2. Strike 3, taken inside and at the knees. And that's going to end that little threat there. Burks goes down on strikes, looking to end the inning here. And we're going to head to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Mat-Su Miners lead the Pilots by a score of 2-1 here at Herman Brothers Field on your Mat-Su Miners radio network. So Scooter Bynum, the left fielder, and then the top of the order due up here for the Miners in the bottom of the 8th inning. Scooter with a beautiful sack bunt in the third. That moved A.J. Lee over into scoring position. And remember what Schwartz did in his at-bat, stand-up triple, bringing in the first run of the game. Bynum 0 for 1 on the night. See if he can get a hit here in the bottom of the eighth. Perhaps Miners should get something going and a little cushion. This is the closest game so far that the Miners have led. As swing and a miss in the dirt. The throw on down to first base. And Green to Lebowski is going to make the strikeout official. And Bynum's going to go down swinging here to start the bottom of the eighth inning. That is going to bring up
number 18, Garrison Schwartz.
Garrison Schwartz, the leadoff man, who is playing right field today. Usually you'll see him out there in left, Cam Montgomery in right, but Cam Montgomery getting the day off. If you're just joining the broadcast, I hope your night has been spectacular. If not, I'll put a smile on your face. The Miners do lead it here by a score of 2-1 at Herman Brothers Field. It is the bottom of the eighth inning. Nobody on, one out. Garrison Schwartz fouls that back, so that's going to bring the count to 0-2. Miners seeking their third victory in a row. Swung on, foul back. And Schwartz is going to continue his at-bat at the plate. On deck is the second baseman, Levi Jordan. The shortstop, Bissonette, is in the hole. That ball fouled off. And then you have Roulette, Scudder, and Madison Nickens if it gets that far. No activity in the Miners' pen. They do have 2 wins on the year, but they have yet to see a save situation as they won both those games by 6 runs. As Schwartz flies out to center field. That's going to be out number 2 for the Miners. Bring up Levi Jordan to the plate.
Yeah, nobody out in the Miners bullpen. So you think this is Jordan Floyd's game to record the save, potentially.
First
a
save
two-inning
of the
save.
year.
A 2-inning save, too.
Be the first save of the year for a Miners pitcher. As we did mention, their 2 victories coming back-to-back nights, Saturday and Sunday, 7-1 victory. So a good weekend for the Miners. That one drilled down the third base line, but it's going to be called foul. So Levi Jordan almost with his 3rd hit tonight. He's reached base safely in his first 3 at-bats, that being courtesy of a single, and then a hit by pitch. Pitch got him right in the back, right on the spine. But he rubbed some dirt on it and headed to first. So perfect on-base percentage tonight for the second baseman, Levi Jordan, who just joined the ball club no more than about 72 hours ago. The 0-1, outside 1-1. Must feel good to be the new face on a ball club, and so much, both offensively and defensively, is Levi Jordan. He's yet to witness a loss, as he wasn't there for the road trip in Kenai, as that one belted to center field, and a diving play there by the center fielder, but it's going to be off the glove, similar to how it was last inning off Nickens. Levi Jordan with a hard turn there at second, but now he's going to put on the brakes, switch it into reverse, and make his way back to second. So 3 hits tonight for Levi Jordan, 3 for 3, an RBI.
And he's been on base all 4 times, too. He was hit by a pitch in his last at-bat prior to this one.
Going here, and if the shortstop, Josh Bissonette, could get him over, lead him here, that would be a much-needed insurance run, as you don't necessarily feel extremely comfortable going into the check that would be the top of the 9th inning with just the 1-run lead. The way the pitching has been for the Miners, you'd be a smart man if you were to bet victory for them. However, you don't want to leave anything up to chance. So the more runs, the better here. First pitch at the knee, strike. Levi Jordan, All right.
Yeah, a pretty good acquisition, I guess.
I'll tell you, the past 2 nights has been a lot of good things to talk about. Check that. Make that the past 3 nights. There's been a lot of fun topics here on your Matsu Miners Radio Network. Brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Napa Auto Parts, of course, the proud sponsor of our broadcast. Any dings and dings on the car, head on down there. Check out NapaAlaska.com, and they'll hook you up. Give your car some nice work. This that ball swung on, fouled. But nothing but good storylines the past few nights for the Miners, and that's how we like it here on the broadcast. Makes our job a little easier, and to be quite honest, it's a lot more fun. Remember, there was a former manager of the Chicago White Sox, Ozzie Guillen, who said the beer tastes good when you win. Don't have beer here in the radio booth. However, we do have the purified drinking water, and the water does taste better when you win. And if you want to win, you need an insurance one, and Bissonnette's going to plop that into left field. Around from second, he gets the green light, Jordan does, and he's going to be plated at home. So Bissonnette with a 2-out RBI double, and that is going to extend the lead to 2 runs, a 3-run lead here at Herman Brothers Field. Miners over the Pilots.
What a great swing by Josh Bissonnette, sending that down the left field line. It goes, and it's a huge insurance run for the Matsu Miners. It would have been a 2-1 lead if they would not have scored this bottom half of the inning, heading into the top of the 9th inning. So a huge insurance run indeed gives the pitching staff a little bit more room to breathe and settle in and record the final 3 outs. But the Miners have not stopped there just yet, as Bissonnette is in scoring position again. So another base hit could score him and extend the lead a little bit.
And what a clutch 2-out RBI double there by Bissonnette. However, he doesn't get a chance at that if Levi Jordan doesn't reach with a clutch 2-out double with nobody on base. So Levi Jordan, the second baseman, getting his 3rd hit of the night to get this rally going with 2 outs. And then Bissonnette's going to come up to the plate, and another RBI for him. He did have a double last night. Homer 2 nights ago. So the extra base hits just coming on in early on in the season for Bissonnette. And the Miners being rewarded. Josh Roulette now up to the plate. He singled in the 6th inning. We'll see if he can keep things going here. First pitch strike on the outside part of the plate. 3-1 the score here in Palmer at Herman Brothers Field. We are in the bottom of the 8th inning. 3 runs on 7 hits, 1 error for the Miners. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the Pilots. A swing chopped over to first base, and this is going to end the inning for the Miners. They will leave a runner on, but they also plated one, a much-needed insurance run as Josh Bissonnette doubles in Levi Jordan. And we are going to head to the top of the 9th inning with the Miners leading the Pilots by a score of 3-1 here on your Matsu Miners Radio Network. So here we go. Top of the 9th inning here at Herman Brothers Field. The Mat-Su Miners seeking their 3rd victory in a row. That would put them in a tie for first place with the Peninsula Oilers. First pitch swinging strike here to the shortstop Kyle Watson. Big boy Floyd still on the mound here in his 2nd inning of relief. He is attempting the 2-inning save. It'd be the first save of the year by Miners pitching. Second pitch swung on and missed. Strike 2.
Floyd wasting no time here in the top half of the 9th inning. Already ahead 0-2 on Kyle Watson, the shortstop, who is 0 for 2 on the day.
Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. We'll see you later, Kyle Watson. 1 out. Up comes right fielder Isaac Feldstein.
Doesn't get any easier than a 3-pitch strikeout as Jordan Floyd records his 3rd strikeout in 2 innings so far.
You have to imagine that feels great on Floyd's part. 3 straight pitches and a strikeout to start things off here in the 9th when the Miners have been pitching well, playing well, hitting well the whole 9 yards. Looking for the 3rd victory in a row. First pitch to Feldstein, the right fielder, is going to be outside, ball 1.
It is the 11th strikeout of the day for the Miners pitching staff. So 15 yesterday and 11 today. So very great job overall by the pitchers.
Swung on, grounded over to Levi Jordan. Throws it over to Scudder. And now, down to their final out are the Pilots. 1 out away are the Miners from their 3rd victory in a row. That would put them in a tie for first place.
Number 20, R.J. Cordero.
Designated hitter R.J. Cordero to the plate. Floyd on the mound in his 2nd inning of relief. He'll pick up the save here if he records the out. Vega will record the W. Hunter Davis will get the loss for the Pilots. Swing and a miss. So 0-2 the count with 2 outs here on R.J. Cordero, the designated hitter for the Pilots. They trail it 3-1 here in the top of the inning. 0-2 pitch on in the dirt there. Fish aren't biting. Floyd with a little bit of a waste pitch, it seemed like there. Here's the 1-2. Fouled off. The Pilots and the Miners both up and at the front of their respective dugouts. Miners hoping they could head on out for a celebratory hand clap. That'd be much of the delight to the Miners faithful here at Herman Brothers Field. Ball game, swing and a miss, strike 3. So big boy Floyd comes on, gets the 2-inning save, but not before a perfect and spectacular 2 innings of relief from Connor Higgins, and you could credit Carlos Vega with the win. Technically not as comfortable as those 7-1 victories the previous 2 nights, but boy, it was still a good one, Jordan.
Absolutely. You know, I'll continue to keep saying this. The pitching has been incredible ever since the first game of the season, and they continued to do just like they have all season long. Only gave up 1 run, and that was charged to Vega. I believe that was in the I don't remember what inning they ended up scoring. I think it was 5th. The Miners did score first. So, but regardless, 1 run through 9 innings today is a great job overall, and the bullpen ended up shutting down all the batters today for them. So, again, the bullpen has kept their ERA totals down to 0 for this season, although we are only through 5 games, but nonetheless, the relievers have pitched almost as many innings as the starters have. So that is a pretty incredible feat.
Yeah, and your memory does serve you corrected. Vega did give up that run in the 5th inning. He did go 5 innings. You could credit him with the win. Credit Hunter Davis with the loss, and that's going to be a 2-inning save for Jordan Floyd. And if you look at the top of the lineup here tonight for the Miners with Schwartz, Jordan, and Bissonette, they did the majority of the action here. Schwartz getting an RBI tonight. Bissonette with a clutch 2-out double RBI in that 8th inning. And Levi Jordan was just simply spectacular. 3 hits tonight. He reached base safely all 4 times, one of them coming by a hit by pitch. He also has an RBI and a run scored tonight. So 3 RBIs, all coming from the top of the order. Schwartz, Jordan, and Bissonette. Spectacular job there. They're the ones who are supposed to be the spark plugs. And boy, did they really keep the engine rolling here tonight at Herman Brothers Field. That's going to move the Miners' record to 3-2 and put them in a first-place tie with the Peninsula Oilers. When we come back, head coach Ben Taylor and a surprise guest. It's going to be a Matsu Miner player. We'll have you wait and see who that is coming up on your Napa Auto Parts postgame show on your Matsu Miners Radio Network.
Post-game show right here. I'm currently with the Matsu Miners skipper, Ben Taylor. Coach, first of all, congratulations on a 3-1 win here today. That win actually moves the Miners into a first-place tie with the Peninsula Oilers here today. So, first of all, talk about your your pitching here today. Yesterday, the pitching staff had 15 strikeouts. Today, with 12 strikeouts. Talk about how they've been keeping you guys in games all season long.
Yeah, they do a good job, man. Carlos shook off some rust tonight for us. His fastball command really wasn't what he wanted it to be, I don't think, but he settled in and threw some big innings for us and stretched it to 5, which was really nice. We were kind of staffed in it and hoping he'd give us 4, so the extra inning was big. And then obviously Higgy and Floyd, shut it down at the back end for us. It was a good night on the mound.
Yeah, Higgins and Floyd have been pretty much lights out as well, especially here today. They both had a great majority of the strikeouts here today. But let's move on to Levi Jordan. This is a guy who first started yesterday for this ball club. He went 2 for 4 yesterday. Today he went 3 for 3 and was on base all 4 times. So just talk about how much of a nice acquisition, if you will, he has been to this team.
Well, it's a big pickup. I mean, he's a guy that's played almost, every day at UW for 2 years, and we know he's a great defender, but that veteran approach that he has to the game really helps us. He really solidifies some things and balances out some of the young guys we have, and he's a tough little kid, man. He's a tough nut.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much,
Thanks,
Coach, for joining me, and we'll be right back on your Napa Auto Parts postgame show. Levi Jordan will be joining Dan Collins with us right here when we come back on your Matsu Miners Radio Network.
Welcome back here to your Napa Auto Parts postgame show. Dan Collins alongside second baseman Levi Jordan, who one of the stars of tonight's game, going 3 for 3, perfect on base percentage as you were clunked by one of those pitches out there. And Levi, you've been here for about 72 hours in Alaska, and you've yet to witness a loss with this club. You're a perfect 3-0 ever since you've arrived, played in the last 2 games, and already 5 hits, a couple RBIs, runs scored, stolen base free. You've been the jack of all trades so far. Good defense out there. Just what has it been like getting acclimated early on here with the Miners?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I just love coming out here, getting to work, playing baseball every day. It's a blessing. Been having a lot of fun and a lot of luck going my way so far. So I hope I can keep it going.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of luck going the Miners' way so far. They did start out in the season in Kenai 0-2, but now you guys are tied for first place in the Alaska Baseball League with the Peninsula Oilers. So can you just talk about what it's like ever since you've come up here? You haven't witnessed that loss. It's just been nothing but good vibes in the clubhouse, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, we're having a lot of fun with it. As long as we pitch it well and we're able to put some hits together, get some runs on the board for our guys, we're going to have a lot of success.
And you talk about that pitching well. Even with those 2 losses to the Oilers, the pitching has been superb this year. What is it like playing defense out there? And no matter who's on the mound, they're just going to battle their tail off and do well for you guys out there.
That's right. And I think it's our responsibility as a defense to be behind them and support them with the best that we can do. Make the routine play and get our guys back in the dugout so we can hit some more.
Right. And right away, you guys, as soon as you've arrived, you've had that 1 game in Anchorage, but now back-to-back games here at Herman Brothers Field. So can you just talk about the experience that's been with the fans so far, both here at the field, and then you were part of that Colony Days parade. So what has it been like learning about this Miners fan base, the Miners faithful? I'm sure you've heard a few things early on before you've arrived, but now out here witnessing it for yourself.
It's awesome, yeah, especially in a place like this. Playing in a field like this, it's a great venue for all these fans to come out. It's great support, and I makes it easy for us to play hard.
And the sun's still up. It's close to 10 o'clock, and the sun is still up here. It never sets here at the last frontier. So, Levi, thanks for joining us, and congratulations to you on your spectacular game at the plate in the 3-1 victory and letting the Miners faithful know a little bit more about yourself. When we come back, it'll be Dan Collins and Jordan Swick finishing off this broadcast here on your Napa Auto Parts Miners postgame show. All right, Dan Collins back here with Jordan Swick, and we're just going to wrap things up here at Herman Brothers Field. It was a happy Levi Jordan that I got the pleasure to talk to. Jordan, I'm sure, was a happy Ben Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always great to talk to the team after a win. It seems to always be better after a win. And you know what? The team played really well from the beginning. And, it's been a very well played three games in a row? Yeah, 3 games in a row to finally put this team above 500 for the first time this season. And we know this team has high aspirations, and, they're not going to stop at just here. They're going to keep on going. They want that ring and their first championship since the 2010 summer season.
Yeah, nothing but smiles from leadoff Jordan. Boy, I'll tell you, and he said that it's been a lot of fun so far in that clubhouse. And speaking of that championship, you can't get there unless you're high enough in the standings. And if you were tuning into the broadcast, we were talking about it all game long, how it was crucial, because with the win here tonight, it is early on in the season. But the Mat-Su Miners now tied in first place with the Peninsula Oilers, and we have a quick score update because things might be getting a little more interesting now in the standings, Jordan.
Yeah, so we mentioned the Miners with their win today move into a tie for first place with the Peninsula Oilers. And the score update, the Chugiak Eagle River Chinooks are leading the Anchorage Bucks by a score of 4-0 through 8 innings right now. So if that does stay in place, the Anchorage Bucks would, I think, fall into either 4th or 5th place, one of the two, and the Chinooks move into second place, not a tie with us, but they would move into second place. And it's a very tightly contested standing so far. The Miners were in last place. I think, was it going into yesterday's game, they were in last place, and look at them now. They're tied for first. It's still early, so we always like to be the ones to look at the standings. I mentioned that to skipper Ben Taylor, and he was like, "Oh, nice!" And like he had no clue. They never pay attention to that kind of stuff. It's just
somewhat of a small idea.
Maybe not. I mean, he knows they've been playing well, but I'm not so sure that they knew where they stood in terms of standings, though.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up here on your Napa Auto Parts post-game show, where tonight at Herman Brothers Field, the Mat-Su Miners victorious over the Anchorage Pilots by a score of 3-1. We will catch all you Miners faithful tomorrow night when the boys travel up to Chugiak Eagle River to face the Chinooks. But you could credit Carlos Vega with the win here tonight, Big Boy Floyd with the 2-inning save, and Davis for the Pilots with the loss. That's going to wrap things up here. For Dan Collins, my broadcast partner, Jordan Swick, our media manager, and tonight's PA announcer, Josh Grissom. A special thanks to Pete and Denise Christopher. And I'm saying I'll catch you on the flip side here at Herman Brothers Field on your Mat-Su Miners Radio Network.